Ayyubids with over 100% appearance rate in this series. That's right, just getting picked double time. Welcome back, one and all, to this exciting game in this $120 show match between Team America and Team Vietnam. And I just done those two the wrong way around because, don't get confused, it's actually North versus South. Which, there's a joke to be made there about Vietnam, but I'm going to avoid it. We've already made one too many this series. Fun one, though. We've got Japanese coming out again for Wham. HRE this time in the hands of the Americans. And actually, like, so I think HRE so far has been on the winning team and the losing team once, respectively. So not an OP Civ in this setting. Ayyubids, I believe, has been present on winning teams only, but hasn't featured in every game. However, Abbasid, their cousin, have instead. And Mongols, I believe, are 1-1 in appearances. French is just always there, so like their stats are going to be pretty much 50-50. I'd be surprised if we ever when we ever see team games where French aren't present. If you're talking about like a very open map with a lot of breadth to it, French is just an obvious pick. Because a few knights can just completely unravel the enemy team's plan. So, what do we get in terms of wings here? It looks like... Wait, was this legit? Huh? Am I seeing that right? Did Puppy Paw just do... Oh, thank God. Oh my God, I was about to panic. I thought he'd gone for advancement wing in Feudal. Guys, it's happening. The Canadians believe in teams and 1v1s. A European, non-European, am aligned, my boys. I believe in this. Guys, this is like having the Abbey of Kings effect. It's the heal. It's really smart. And it's going to give them what they should need to maybe deal with these initial spearmen, which is quite problematic right now, as it seems to be a blocker to the gathering for Jigglypuff. Yeah, he has a big problem here, right? He can only afford one more knight, so he needs to be very efficient about this. The double dervish could allow for that. However, more spears are on the way. Vuvavan. Oi, 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 he never stopped. He's calmed down a little bit for the tech up. Actually, has he? No, he's just non-stop pumping it. He's slowly teching up, but he's keeping spearman production going. And now the Desert Raider is here as well, which makes this so much harder. This could be a really fast one because the pressure isn't just in this base. It's coming into this base as well. A ballsy move out of Kyo. Kyo is trying to run by all the way across to Mr. Munch's base. Intriguing choice here because historically HRE can annihilate the English because of the movement speed, the better economy. However, the tricky part is at any stage, a few French knights could arrive here to assist. And what they've done is they've kind of put Mr. Munch between a rock and a hard place. He now can't build Spim because of the Lombos, but he kind of needs Spim if he approaches the north side because of the French player. Oh, that's so horrible for him. Wham also isn't participating because welcome to every Japanese player ever. He needs castle. So this is full pressure 4v3, right? The French knights are prowling around. Look at those Japanese targets. Looks like the spearmen are finally going to be pushed back, but Jigglypuff really far behind here. 2 knights to soon to be 5. An unhealthy position to find yourself in. Means that if they start diving, for example, into Mr. Munch's base, you can't assist, right? You actually need to now wait for your Japanese castle rushing player to participate. Participation soon to be on the way, by the way. Vuvavan, finally at the 7-minute mark, has decided to reach Feudal Age. He only built a few spearmen, guys. It was only a few. Hasn't got many sheep, though, which is a bit problematic. Does have the deer nearby. He needs to avoid massing pastures here, because while massing pastures can work out quite nicely, say, on a map like Rocky Canyon, or Rocky River, rather, where things are a little bit more dragged out, a little bit harder to harass. On maps like Dry Arabia, that type of transition can leave one of your players out to dry. Kyo. Looks like he's trying to pressure here, but I love this from Puppy Paw. Desert Raiders, tricky to kill, but oh, the counterplay. Orange brings in more. Dervish is trying to heal, but they're going to get left behind. Needs to be very careful. Remember, they can get cleaved down very quickly, although the bonus damage should be there. Still going to be 13 base, and he snipes one. Now, this is really important. The difference between the Imam play and the Dervish play isn't just the mobility, it's the fact that just because it's one of them doesn't mean it's GG end of play, Remember, the dervish can kiss his own boo-boos better, just as well as his teammates. All right, what do you think, guys? At this point in the game, 1's if you think Team Vietnam are going to win, 2's if you believe in the Americans. Because I haven't even checked the predictions yet. The predictions were 63% America and then 37% Vietnam. So a lot closer, actually. I think the closest of any of the games. For good reason. Both of these teams have fought their hearts out. And we've seen 2 very different types of games, right? Like, we've seen the comeback from an ugly position in one swift strike. We've seen the back and forth comeback scenarios of game number 1, where I believe the control of the game switched hands 4 times. Technically, 8 people voted for America. I mean, it's American voting. You never really know how many people voted. I'm sorry. Dude, I'm on one today. So mutual goal gathering. Jigglypuff got pressured out of his own base, right? So they had to shift across into the base of red. So just kind of living together now. Spinman Desert Raiders are going to keep Jigglypuff contained, though. Wow. What's his presence looking like? He's going into the Mount Samurai. Can be a bit tricky when you're up against these camels, though. But at the same time, you don't want to just rush into Onimusha. I think overall, Onimusha would make maybe a lot more sense. Yeah, I like that we're actually now 10 minutes in the game and it doesn't feel like it's falling apart. I was a bit worried that this final game was going to be an easy-peasy win for the Vietnamese. Their tempo was looking really solid. They basically starved the French player off the goal, which is just a GG win condition. And then they had the kind of snowball effect of Lombo's coming. It kind of felt like Lumber wasn't there to support that play, though. If I'm not mistaken, he kept looking for a dive onto Wham when they probably should have been teaming up to attack the HRE player. The reality of what's happening is, like, you've gone for a full fuel aggro, even Dark Age aggro as Vietnam, while your opponents went for a Castle Age play, right? So they can only be free players participating. So with that being the case, it makes sense to 2-in with Mobile Cav on the west side, and then 2-in with 1 static on the east, because the east side is not going to get assistance. Instead, we now have a later phase of the game, and we have Mounted Samurai able to start proving dominant here. Archers in the HRE do have that gap closed to 1.38 movement speed. The Mounted Samurai cannot be dented whatsoever. And Kyo, at risk of losing the entire army. No assistance coming either. You notice the Knights don't want to play. It's 4 versus 3 Mounted Samurai. With the deflective armor, you do practically no damage here. Diving continues. I love that break off. Peels it back, tries to get out of range of the Lombos, turns for the assault. Veteran Royal Knights will fare a little bit better, but remember, guys, Mounted Samurai stop you from getting that initial damage burst. You miss out on the lance, you miss out on the damage bonus. That's what makes it so hard. It's what's made Japanese one of French and Jones' hardest matchups, right? Because if you're allowed to go to Castle Age, this issue rears its ugly head. I have been hearing recently of a feudal all-in type play from the French, where they essentially go for like a pseudo outpost rush and they dive your base. Haven't been able to catch many of those games. I believe Crackety was the one peddling those goods, but, you know, when someone peddles crack, I wouldn't always trust it at first light. These Desert Raider numbers. 20-14. Puppy Paw has fallen behind. Yeah, the Dervish play hasn't really paid off, right? I mean, he was up against, what? Was it just the Desert Raider? Yeah. Which is surprising, because I was saying earlier that I think that Dervish is better than Desert Raider. In fairness, it was more nuanced than that. It wasn't just a case of they were mirroring each other. We did have the added issue of essentially Puppy Paw 2v1ing for a while, as Jigglypuff didn't have anything to participate with, right? So I think that muddied the wars. I still really do rate the Dervish play. I think this game just became a little bit discombobulated, so we haven't really seen the impact of that tech choice. It's good enough to keep the Magdai at bay. So they have done a good job of actually reversing the defense, right? Like a few minutes ago, it was all pressure coming from Vietnam into the Americans. Now the Team America are the ones shoving into the enemy side of the map. And that's really important because they're taking advantage of that to then tech up behind this. Mr. Munch now in Castle, and a lot of relics up for grabs here, folks. Lumber is the only player on the other side in Age 3. A French player is not likely to ever rush relic gathering in a team game. Well, if you're worried about the communist gold, is this some kind of like, we're safer together type logic? If a knight comes, we can all try and stab him and die. Oh my goodness. Doing it with gold again. Harassment has been really good from Vuva Van with just a handful of spears. The Magadite transition just hasn't really been there, though. And the good news, at least, is, on the other side, you haven't got a Lombo player, right? So you don't have to worry about spamming mass spears. A Wham and Puppy Paw from Texas? No. Why? Does this look like the Alamo? No, I'd say there's a previous game that had more of that feeling. No, they are the Canadians. So they get called Team America, but it really means Team NA. But when you say Team America, the song plays in your head, right? Oh my god, Desert Raiders, big hit here. The villagers. Puppy Paw, look at the difference now. 27 eco to 46! What an attack! And now the follow-up wave, the Spearman moving in. Remember, these Desert Raiders, any stage go melee form and punish as well. Unbelievable move here. They're punishing the greed, right? It's triple castle. Puppy Paw hasn't tried to make that move yet, but it looked like he was getting ready. But this dive in might make him smushed more than spaghetti. I don't know what you're meant to do here if you're Puppy Paw. Like, you've been sold out. You've been sold up river, right? The two players that could assist you are on the opposite side of the map. You're double cav over here against mass Desert Raider spears. It doesn't get worse than this. You need the east side to do something quick. Lombos are not going to be able to dive into the HRE base. We're probably going to start seeing more static emplacement soon, as relics should start to get hoovered home. And Wham, it's kind of crazy, actually. In a game against Desert Raiders, he's been able to mount Samurai. Most of the time, you have to go Onimusha, but there's no reason to here, especially against the Lombo threat. Does make you wonder in some ways if it would have been better, because no one is really contesting these spears right now. Spears are going to commit in. Veteran Knights try to defend, but remember, it's not just the counter unit against them, it's also the reduction of the damage here. Mounted Samurai are going to arrive, but it comes at a pretty penny. Several of those green French Knights do go down. They do get the mop up, though. Behind this, Orange does have 12 more Desert Raiders. He's playing pocket resources, so plenty more on the way. We do not have a tech choice yet coming out of them. East side, we do, however, have a big dive. Teal and Purple make their move. Mr. Munch has barely any army right now. At the same time, Puppy Paw is a non-starter. Small economy, zero military. And we're really testing the limits of Mounted Samurai here. Lombos don't directly counter them, but he's now starting to scale crossbows. And also, these Lombos have been vetted up. So pretty high base damage, right? 10 per strike means the Mounted Samurai can't trickle in like this. And it's starting to feel like Wham is responsible for too much. This is the thing, right? Like, it's kind of like when you take this choice to go castle, when you decide you're going to be the greedy player, there is an emphasis on you delivering back what you take from the team twice-fold. However, that's not the way basic maths works. You're still one player now trying to scale eco and military. And so much damage has been done, it's not you now trying to wipe one of your teammates' bums and change their nappy. You have to wipe two teammates' asses and change them. And makes me kind of glad that I didn't have twins in the end, because the more I think about that, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, do you just get efficient at cleaning one with each hand? This does make me envious of Stitch because he had 4 hands. Stitch would have been a great babysitter. No, don't finish that statement. Nice trying to break through Wham. He's running out of places to hide here. He's spread too thin. He's on 3 different locations, right? So now you're going to have to shift back east to defend yourself. And then what happens to red? Well, for now, his Desert Raiders will be able to hold back the tide. It's only a small one for the time being. However, yellow is on the way with more spears against French Knights. That is going to get ugly. Goal getting blocked again. Puppy Paw losing a few more villages. The attack speed arrow does get activated because nothing else will be useful here. These are veteran Royal Knights. They will trade better than they normally would. However, he has softened up the target. Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there, though. I think what needed to happen is you needed orange there with at least one of these for the Camelanese. Would have been enough to reduce this count heavily. Instead, Jigglypuff gets a really good trade and a much-needed one there for Team America. Numbers still not favoring them, though. Almost double the military population for the Vietnamese. And not just that, look at the economy lead now. About 70 ahead. Infrastructure also starting to fail Mr. Munch. I mean, he's trying to get mass men-at-arms together, but this feels horrible against veteran Royal Knights. I imagine we've got cantled saddles as well, as it's just such an easy tech at this point. Yeah, which means, remember, you're getting plus 10 damage instead of plus 3, which equates with your attack speed to like an extra, I believe it's 30 damage compared to standard knights in the first 5 seconds of assault. It's pretty ludicrous how much of a difference that makes. Because remember, you can do the lance attack, clop, 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 and then debuff. Of course, you need to make sure you're attacking the men-at-arms and not the samurai. It's being a samurai. A little bit of a panic micro there. Kyo, he actually pulled back the longbos instead of just pulling back the crossbows, but it doesn't matter. Knights have now arrived. They have to back up. Tech ups are completing. All players on the Vietnamese squad now up in Castle Age. It's diving the choke point a bit ugly. This is exactly how Wham cannot afford to fight. There's so much miscommunication here as well. It feels like Mr. Munch goes in, Wham walks away. Wham goes in, Mr. Munch walks away. They finally just commit to the idea of an A-click, but it might just get them killed. Yeah, this looks done. They're the last standing armies. Look at the military count in total. This is an absolute rout in the final game. It took 3 to get him across the line, but Team Vietnam are in full control of this one. Full aggro beats greed. It's something that's been drilled into us in the last few weeks in team play, and I'm glad that the AoE4 meta is finally getting there. I remember team games when this game first came out. TC boom up the wazoo, do nothing else. Look at this game now. Blood must be spilled. And Team America are going to be the ones cut the deepest. GG comes out. Your $120 America-Vietnam showdown. Team Vietnam takes it in 3.